So that moment we were discussing about that stack and heap memory. So stack memory means static memory allocation will be done on stack memory. Okay, and dynamic memory allocation will be done in heap memory. Both are part of RAM, random access memory of your computer. Otherwise, in mobiles, any operating system, Android, Apple, iOS, any operating systems, RAM is there. In mobiles also. In computer, okay, generally RAM. So heap and stack memory both are part of your random access memory, and static memory allocation will be done in stack RAM segment, okay, and dynamic memory allocation will be done in heap memory segment of RAM, okay. So what happened, as I told you, that heap memory segment means dynamic memory allocation that will be done for what, any variables need memory, access memory means memory to be adjusted, and some data structures like arrays, lists, okay, at the runtime, they need more memory. Even the variables at the runtime need more memory, so dynamic memory allocation will be done in heap memory. This point to be noted, huh? So many data structures are there, arrays are there, linked lists are there. During execution, maybe their size may be changed. So simple example I want to explain here. In C language, we have studied that malloc and calloc functions. Both are part of dynamic memory allocation. Okay. In C++, new keyword will be used to allocate memory for a variable at runtime. Okay. That is runtime allocation. So in C also, dynamic memory allocation will be done through two functions. I told you that malloc and calloc functions in C language. But in C language, you simply need to keep in your mind there is no any concept of oops, object and class variables, methods. There is no any concept. And so whenever you consider with C, this topic and objects, but variables are compulsory in any language, either it may be any type of variables. How many types of variables in C? Generally, variables created, different type of variables are there. Integer data type of variables, float data type of variables, and double float data type of variables, char data type variable, and boolean data type variable. Okay, so see, that is there is no any concept of oops. Okay, but heap and stack memory both are part of your RAM, whether it is for any C language, any for C++, any Python, Java, any language. These two parts of heap and stack memory, they are the part of RAM. Okay, keep in mind. So summary is what, finally, both static and dynamic memory allocations, okay, part of RAM. Static memory allocation, static memory will be allotted when, at the time of compilation time, that will be done in which memory? Stack memory segment of RAM. Dynamic memory allocation will be done at the time of execution of the program, but will be done in which memory? Heap memory. Heap memory segment of RAM. So static memory is allocated on the stack simply, while dynamic memory is allocated on the heap. These two are part of RAM, random access memory, but you need to keep in mind RAM is what? Random access memory. It is volatile memory. Volatile memory means whenever computer system shut down, it may be mobile or it may be your laptop, desktop computers, tabs, any system shut down, means power of all the content stored in created in heap and stack will be erased because RAM is volatile. If you want to keep them safe, if you want to save them, you need to store them in permanent memory like hard disk, HDD, solid state drives. Okay, but there is no any heap and stack memory concept is there. No concept. There is only file structure, otherwise directories and file permanently they will be stored in that permanent storage. Okay, so next come to the point. So what happened to objects? Okay, when a computer is turned off, that moment, if a computer is turned off, then that moment what happened? All the objects stored in RAM, both stack and heap memory, are erased because RAM is volatile memory. So, so volatile memory retains the data until the computer is powered on. Once power lost, everything automatically cleared. Okay, erased. So let us see how it affects of different types of data, static and dynamic data in RAM. Okay. So any variables or objects allocated on stack means static memory or heap dynamic, any objects or variables allocated. Generally in Java, objects will be created stored in heap memory and its reference, maybe the memory address, will be stored in static memory. Okay, so all variables means objects allocated on the stack and heap, okay, are erased. So it includes all runtime data for programs and objects managed by applications. Everything will be erased. So persistent means permanent storage that can be done over only non-volatile memory, your hard disk, otherwise solid state drives. So data saved to non-volatile storage like hard drives, solid state drives, or external devices like your external hard disk, memory cards, and pen drives. So that will not be altered, that can't be erased, it will not be intacted. Okay, okay, that is because stored permanently. So if you want your data, means your class and objects, its variables, its methods, if you want to keep the data even though your system is shut down, so they need to be saved explicitly to a file. Clearly, there is no any doubt, you need to save them to a file, otherwise a database or directory, another form of any storage. Okay, it is clear that any object is not saved to a non-volatile storage location, means permanent storage location. Any object, variables, classes, methods, if they are not stored to permanent storage location, so whenever computer switched off, everything will be lost. So for hard disk drives and permanent storage, any permanent storage, any permanent storage, there is a structure that is called file structure. Okay, directories, files. Okay, so one more question, if anybody have such a doubt like that, this heap and stack memory concept is also for non-volatile memory. So in non-volatile memory there is no any stack and heap concepts of RAM, because these stack and heap memory, this concept is only for RAM. Okay, non-volatile memory, its structure is somewhat different and doesn't support the same runtime allocation process as RAM. Okay, that runtime allocation process that can be done in only RAM. Okay, so as we have studied that program, that is what your compilation time allocation, compile time allocation means static RAM, static memory allocation, dynamic memory allocation. So that dynamic memory allocation done in heap memory, and it will be done at the time. It is also called runtime allocation. Okay, so that will be done in RAM. Okay, so let us try to understand what is happened. Volatile memory RAM and non-volatile memory. So in volatile memory RAM, stack and heap segments, part of your RAM memory segments. RAM contains a stack part. Stack part, some part of memory is called stack. Okay, stack memory. In the stack memory, static memory allocation will be done. Static memory, stack memory. That is for static memory allocation, and heap memory segment of RAM for dynamic memory allocation. That will be managed at runtime by operating system. Okay, so what purpose? That is used for temporary data storage like variables and objects. Temporary data means temporarily created in RAM, variables created, objects created, and classes created, and their attributes like variables, methods created temporarily. So that exists until a program is running in that memory RAM. RAM is a temporary memory until your program that is being run. So these will be exist on memory. So whenever program closed, so all will be removed. Characteristics: losses all data when computer is turned off. Simply it is volatile memory because it's volatile. Non-volatile memory means your hard drives and solid state drives. File system structure. File system, non-volatile memory has no any concept of heap and stack memory. Heap and stack memory, that is part of only your RAM only. So what happened in non-volatile memory? Whenever you want to store them, so whenever we store all these class objects and its variables, class variables, instance variable, attributes, methods, so everything will be stored in a file. Okay, so whenever we call that file, so everything will be called. So non-volatile memory, so it doesn't have a stack or heap concept in the same way. Instead, okay, it has a file system. Non-volatile memory has a file system. So that file system organizes data in files and directories. Okay, purpose is what used for permanent data storage. Okay, that will be for even after your computer is turned off, that will be retained. Okay, until you will not erase the data. So like your saved documents, your databases, and so much of application data we will create. So all that whatever we will create, that will be stored in your permanent storage like hard disk. Here characteristics what? It retains data without power, which is why it is called non-volatile. So whenever we want to save an object from RAM, so object created in RAM, generally for if it is Java concerning, object will be saved in heap memory, and its reference means memory address will be saved in where stack memory. So that moment I have created the object, but if I want to save that object details, class details, and attributes from RAM, so that details may be whether it is part of stack memory, whether it is part of a heap memory. Now I want to save the details of that object. So that to whom? Permanent storage device, non-volatile memory. So that moment that is to be stored to a clearly, that is to be all the details to be stored in a file in the form of, okay, in a file, otherwise a database, in the form of structured data. Okay, non-volatile memory doesn't handle dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation, that is only will be done at the time of runtime, program runtime. Program execution time, run dynamic memory will be allotted, maybe because at the time of runtime, memory may be need of memory for variables and some data structures like your lists and arrays. Maybe memory may be need of changed, so that time dynamic memory allocation that will be done in RAM only, not by any mm, mm, not by any that is what your permanent memory. Okay, non volatile memory means permanent memory like your hard disk and SDD, solid state drives. So they don't have this type of any dynamic memory allocation, so don't expect that permanent memory they will handle this dynamic memory allocation. Temporarily temporary runtime data in the same way RAM does. So temporarily RAM, what it does is temporarily manage the dynamic memory allocation, means runtime allocation, memory allocation. RAM temporarily does, but permanent storage devices, they have no this type of any concept. So question, one more question, elements, what elements stored in stack and heap? So stack and heap, they are part of what? Your RAM, stack memory and heap memory. These are memory segments of your RAM. So what type of data will be stored? So this is very important because for different language, see, as I told you that in Java, whenever I tried to teach, that moment I told you that in Java, objects will be created in heap memory segment, and its memory reference, okay, memory address reference will be stored in stack memory. So in computers memory, what happened? The stack and heap serve different purposes, with each handling specific types of data. Specific type of data they will handle during program execution. Okay. So let us look into this stack. So purpose is what? Stack is used for managing function calls. Stack memory segment is used for what? Function calls. Whenever function is created, and then function, whenever function is created, but whenever we call that function, generally we will call that function